What if I told you that sitting in your local grocery store right now are 5 vegetables so powerful that researchers have been studying them for decades as potential weapons against cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and chronic inflammation? And what if I told you that most people walk right past them without a second thought? My name is Dr. Favor Adewumi. With over 10 years medical experience, I have seen a lot of trends come and go. But what I am going to share with you today is not a trend. This is science. This is decade of peer-reviewed research. And these 5 vegetables have the potential to genuinely change the trajectory of your health if you know how to use them correctly. Now, before we dive in, I want you to stay with me until the very end, because the 5th vegetable on this list is probably not one you would ever expect, and the research behind it is absolutely remarkable. First, let me explain something that most people do not fully understand about how disease actually develops in the body, because once you understand this, everything I share after it will make complete sense. Almost every serious chronic disease, whether it is cancer, heart disease, diabetes, or Alzheimer's, shares one thing in common at the foundation: chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. These two processes do not cause disease overnight. They work slowly over years and decades, quietly damaging cells, disrupting normal DNA function, and creating the internal environment that allows disease to take root and grow. Here is what matters for this video. Certain vegetables contain specific naturally occurring compounds that attack both of these processes directly. They neutralize the free radicals that drive oxidative stress. They block the inflammatory signaling molecules that create the disease environment. And in the case of cancer specifically, some of these compounds have been shown to trigger a process called apoptosis, which is the scientific term for programmed cell death. That means they instruct abnormal cells to self-destruct before they can multiply and spread. This is not alternative medicine. This is biochemistry. This is pharmacology happening inside vegetables. I want to introduce you to a patient I will call Rosemary. Rosemary was 61 years old, retired hospital administrator, which meant she understood medicine better than most of my patients. She came to me after her routine checkup revealed elevated inflammatory markers, borderline blood sugar, and a family history of colon cancer that had taken her mother and her older sister. She was not yet sick, but the road she was on had a known destination. She asked me something I hear often but never tire of. She said, "Doctor, what can I eat that will actually fight this?" I gave her a specific protocol built around 5 vegetables. And what happened in the following 12 months is the reason I am making this video. We will come back to Rosemary because her follow-up results were one of the most encouraging things I have seen in 2 decades of clinical practice. Vegetable number 1, broccoli and broccoli sprouts. Broccoli is probably the most well-known vegetable on this list, but most people have no idea why it is actually powerful. They know it is healthy. They do not know the mechanism. Let me give it to you clearly. Broccoli contains a compound called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is produced when broccoli is chewed or cut. The physical damage to the plant cell activates an enzyme called myrosinase, which converts a precursor compound called glucoraphanin into the active sulforaphane molecule. This is important to understand because it means how you prepare broccoli changes how much sulforaphane your body actually receives. Here is what sulforaphane does inside the body. It activates a master regulatory protein called NRF2. NRF2 is sometimes called the master switch of cellular defense. When it is activated, it switches on more than 200 protective genes simultaneously, including genes that produce the body's most powerful natural antioxidants, enzymes that neutralize carcinogens, and proteins that repair damaged DNA. A study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that sulforaphane was able to selectively target and destroy cancer stem cells in breast cancer tissue while leaving normal cells unharmed. Cancer stem cells are particularly important because they are the cells responsible for cancer returning after treatment. Chemotherapy often fails to eliminate them. Sulforaphane appears to reach them. A separate study from Johns Hopkins University found that broccoli sprouts, which contain 50 to 100 times more sulforaphane than mature broccoli, produced significant reductions in H. pylori infection levels in the stomach lining. H. pylori is the primary driver of stomach cancer. Reducing it reduces cancer risk directly. The practical instruction is this: eat broccoli raw or lightly steamed, never boiled. Boiling destroys myrosinase and dramatically reduces sulforaphane production. 3 to 4 servings per week of lightly cooked broccoli or 1 serving of fresh broccoli sprouts added to a salad delivers a meaningful therapeutic dose of this compound. Vegetable number 2, garlic. Garlic has been used medicinally for over 5,000 years across virtually every culture on Earth. For most of that history, its use was based on observation. Now we have the biochemistry to explain exactly why it works. The key compound in garlic is allicin. Like sulforaphane in broccoli, allicin is not present in garlic until the bulb is physically damaged. When raw garlic is crushed or chopped, an enzyme called alliinase converts a compound called alliin into allicin. This is why crushing or finely chopping garlic and allowing it to rest for 10 minutes before cooking produces significantly more allicin than simply cooking whole or sliced garlic directly. Allicin and its metabolic byproducts have been extensively studied for anti-cancer activity. A meta-analysis published in the journal Nutrition and Cancer reviewed 18 studies examining garlic consumption and cancer risk. The analysis found consistent evidence that higher garlic intake was associated with significantly reduced risk of colorectal cancer, stomach cancer, and pancreatic cancer. The proposed mechanism involves allicin's ability to inhibit the activation of carcinogens in the liver, block cell division in cancer cells, and induce apoptosis in tumor tissue. Beyond cancer, garlic's cardiovascular benefits are among the most replicated findings in nutritional science. Research shows regular garlic consumption reduces LDL cholesterol oxidation, inhibits platelet aggregation, which reduces clot risk, and lowers both systolic and diastolic blood pressure through its effect on nitric oxide production in the arterial walls. The practical instruction is simple. Crush 2 cloves of fresh garlic, let them rest for 10 minutes, then add them to your cooking. This protocol takes the allicin from near zero to its maximum available concentration before heat partially reduces it. 2 to 3 cloves of prepared garlic daily delivers a clinically meaningful dose. Vegetable number 3, spinach and dark leafy greens. Spinach belongs to a category of vegetables that provides a specific set of protective compounds your body cannot manufacture on its own and cannot obtain reliably from any other food group. The first is folate. Folate is essential for DNA synthesis and DNA repair. When folate levels are consistently low, the body's ability to replicate DNA accurately is compromised. Errors accumulate, and accumulated DNA errors are the cellular foundation of cancer. Research published in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute found that low dietary folate was significantly associated with increased risk of colon cancer, breast cancer, and cervical cancer. Spinach is one of the highest dietary sources of folate available. The second is lutein and zeaxanthin. These are carotenoid compounds with potent antioxidant activity specifically in the eye and brain tissue, but also in the epithelial cells lining the colon and the cervix. A study in the International Journal of Cancer found that higher blood lutein levels were associated with lower risk of colon cancer. The third is vitamin K1. This is the primary form of vitamin K in leafy greens, and it plays a critical role in regulating a protein called Gas6, which controls cell proliferation and apoptosis. Research has shown vitamin K1 can slow the growth of cancer cells, specifically in hepatocellular carcinoma, which is liver cancer. The fourth and most important compound in dark leafy greens for this conversation is chlorophyll. Chlorophyll, the green pigment in leaves, binds directly to polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons and heterocyclic amines, which are 2 of the most potent dietary carcinogens produced when meat is cooked at high temperatures. By binding to these compounds in the digestive tract, chlorophyll physically prevents their absorption into the bloodstream. It reduces the carcinogenic load your body has to process with every meal that contains cooked meat. The practical instruction is straightforward. 2 to 3 large handfuls of raw spinach or mixed dark leafy greens daily, either as salad or blended into smoothies, provides a full therapeutic dose of all 4 compounds. Cook spinach only once and eat it fresh. Do not reheat cooked leafy greens, which converts their beneficial nitrates into harmful nitrosamines. If you have made it this far, you are clearly invested. You want to see what happens next, but most viewers enjoy content and scroll away without subscribing. If this one really means something to you, tap subscribe. It takes a second. If not, you will probably forget this channel exists and miss a lot of great educational content ahead. Vegetable number 4, carrots. Carrots are one of the most commonly consumed vegetables in the world and one of the most underestimated from a disease prevention standpoint. Most people know that carrots are good for the eyes. Almost nobody knows what they do at the cellular level in the context of cancer. Carrots contain 3 distinct classes of bioactive compounds that work together in a way that makes them particularly effective. The first is beta-carotene. Beta-carotene is a carotenoid that the body converts into vitamin A. But beyond that conversion, beta-carotene itself functions as a powerful antioxidant that quenches singlet oxygen, which is one of the most reactive and damaging free radical species that damages DNA. A study published in the British Journal of Cancer found that higher circulating beta-carotene levels were associated with significantly lower risk of head and neck cancers, lung cancer, and bladder cancer. The second is falcarinol. This compound is present almost exclusively in carrots and is not found in meaningful quantities in any other commonly consumed vegetable. Research from the University of Newcastle published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that falcarinol reduced the incidence of cancerous tumors in rats by 1:3 compared to the control group. It appears to work by interfering with the prostaglandin pathways that cancer cells use to promote their own growth and to suppress immune attack. The third is polyacetylines, a class of compounds unique to the carrot family that have demonstrated anti-inflammatory and antifungal properties in vitro studies. These compounds appear to synergize with falcarinol in their anti-tumor effects. Here is the most important instruction about carrots that most people get completely wrong. Cooking carrots actually increases the bioavailability of beta-carotene. Raw carrots provide beta-carotene in a form that is poorly absorbed because the cell walls are intact and resistant to digestion. Lightly steamed or cooked carrots release beta-carotene more efficiently into the bloodstream. However, falcarinol is significantly reduced by overcooking. The optimal preparation is lightly steamed or roasted, not boiled and not eaten raw if cancer prevention is the goal. Eat carrots with a small amount of healthy fat such as olive oil because beta-carotene is fat-soluble and absorption increases dramatically in the presence of dietary fat. Vegetable number 5, asparagus. This is the one I told you to wait for. And the research behind it genuinely surprised me when I first reviewed it. Asparagus contains one of the highest concentrations of glutathione of any food source available. Glutathione is often called the master antioxidant of the human body. It is the primary molecule responsible for neutralizing the most dangerous reactive oxygen species inside cells, detoxifying carcinogens in the liver, and regenerating other antioxidants including vitamin C and vitamin E after they have been used up. Unlike most antioxidants you consume in food, glutathione is used directly inside the cell. It does not need to be converted or transported. It goes to work immediately. After the age of 45, your body's natural glutathione production begins to decline, falling by approximately 1% per year. By 65, most adults have roughly 20 to 30% less glutathione than they did at 40. This decline is directly associated with increased susceptibility to oxidative damage, reduced cellular repair capacity, and increased cancer risk. Asparagus provides dietary glutathione in a form that is significantly cooked rather than eaten raw. The second remarkable compound in asparagus is rutin. Rutin is a flavonoid with potent anti-cancer properties that have been studied specifically in the context of colon cancer. A study, published in the journal Nutrition, found that rutin inhibited the proliferation of colon cancer cells and induced apoptosis through a mechanism involving the p53 tumor suppressor pathway. The p53 pathway is one of the body's most important anti-cancer regulatory systems. When it functions properly, it identifies cells with DNA damage and orders them to self-destruct. Many cancer cells survive by disabling p53. Rutin appears to reactivate this pathway even in cancer cells that have partially suppressed it. The third compound is asparagine, an amino acid that supports brain function and has been studied in the context of reducing chronic fatigue, which is a significant issue in older adults and particularly in those recovering from illness. Asparagine supports stable neurotransmitter production and energy metabolism in neural tissue. The practical instruction is specific. Eat asparagus lightly steamed or roasted at moderate heat. 4 to 5 spears 3 times per week. Overcooking asparagus destroys the glutathione content completely because glutathione is extremely heat sensitive. 2 to 3 minutes of light steaming retains the majority of the glutathione while improving the bioavailability of rutin. Do not boil asparagus. The glutathione leaches into the cooking water and is discarded with it. I promised I would come back to rosemary. 12 months after that first consultation, she came back for her annual checkup. She had followed the protocol consistently. Broccoli sprouts in her salad 3 times a week. Crushed fresh garlic prepared properly in her cooking every day. Dark leafy greens twice daily. Lightly steamed carrots with olive oil 4 times a week. And asparagus 3 times a week, always lightly steamed. Her inflammatory markers, which had been elevated at the start, had returned to the normal range. Her fasting blood sugar, which had been borderline, was now within the healthy range without any medication. Her gastroenterologist, reviewing her colonoscopy follow-up, noted no new polyp development in the sites that had been previously identified as areas of concern. She sat across from me and said something that I think about often. She said, "I went to the grocery store for years and walked past the things that could have been helping me. I just did not know what they were doing. That is the gap this video is designed to close. The research exists, the compounds are identified, the mechanisms are understood, and the foods are available in every grocery store. The only missing link was the connection between the laboratory and your kitchen. That connection is now made. Let me bring this all together clearly. 5 vegetables with decades of peer-reviewed research behind their disease-fighting properties. Broccoli and broccoli sprouts, eaten raw or lightly steamed, deliver sulforaphane that activates over 200 protective genes and selectively targets cancer stem cells. Garlic, crushed and rested for 10 minutes before cooking, delivers a lysine that blocks carcinogen activation, reduces cancer cell division, and improves cardiovascular health across multiple mechanisms. Spinach and dark leafy greens, eaten fresh and not reheated, deliver folate for DNA repair, chlorophyll that physically removes dietary carcinogens before they are absorbed, and carotenoids that protect against colon and breast cancer. Carrots, lightly cooked with olive oil, deliver falcarinol that reduces tumor incidence, beta-carotene that protects DNA from free radical damage, and polyacetylines that work synergistically against cancer cell growth. And asparagus, lightly steamed for 2 to 3 minutes, delivers the highest dietary source of glutathione available, and rutin that reactivates the p53 tumor suppressor pathway. 5 vegetables, all available at your grocery store this week, all backed by published research, none requiring a prescription, none requiring an appointment. Here is what I want you to do today. Pick 2 from this list and add them to your meals this week. Not all 5 at once, just 2. Let the habit build from there, because the most powerful change is the one you actually make consistently, not the one you make perfectly for 3 days and abandon. Which of these 5 surprised you the most? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if someone you love is managing cancer, heart disease, or diabetes right now, share this video with them today. The information is here, the research is real, and the grocery store is closer than the clinic. Subscribe to this channel. Every week I bring you honest, research-grounded information that bridges the gap between what the science shows and what actually reaches you. I am Dr. Favor Adeyemi. Your health deserves the full science. Disclaimer: everything shared in this video is general educational information based on published nutritional science and oncology research. It is not personal medical advice and is not intended to replace any prescribed treatment for cancer, diabetes, or any other condition. Vegetables are a complement to medical care, not a substitute for it. If you are currently receiving treatment for any serious illness, please discuss dietary changes with your treating physician before making significant modifications to your diet.